Expected that the House would pass it. The Speaker has 258 votes to work with, and the fact that she could come up with 218, 220 as it turned out is not unexpected, given that she and her team were charged with crafting that bill, but disappointing nonetheless. I voted against it. The Republicans, they're trying to call us the party to know, and quite frankly, that's what I do a lot, is vote that red button, and I push it a lot, really hard, that kind of stuff. But we need an alternative, and we have an alternative to the 2,000-page bill. There was a 218-page bill that is a more targeted, less ambitious perhaps, but nevertheless a group of reforms that we think that we can get our arms around. You can get your head around the bill itself and understand what it is we're trying to do and how we're trying to do it. You wouldn't be, this whole arena has been poisoned, quite frankly, with the 1,000-page bill that they introduced in July and this 2,000-page bill they introduced last week, of not knowing what's in it, not sure what it's going to do, what the special deals are, and all those kinds of things. But our 200-page bill would say, let's do tort reform on the national level. We've got it already in Texas and it's working. Let's deal with pre-existing conditions, because that's one of the areas that both sides agree we ought to do something about. Our approach would be, let's augment the Texas high-risk pool and create those high-risk pools in every state. Let the states run those pools. We probably would have federal resources associated with those pools to try to lower the rates for the people, but to address it so that they would own it themselves and would handle it themselves. Let's buy health insurance. Let the health insurance companies compete across state lines for our business, which I think will help drive down the cost. Let's do associated health plans. Allow those where small groups can band together into bigger groups so that they'll be more competitive and present a more attractive product to the insurance companies and thereby get lower rates. Let's emphasize health savings accounts. These are pre-tax dollars that you set aside to spend yourself on value products that you want in the healthcare arena, because quite frankly, if we're really going to realistically hold down the cost of healthcare, you and I as consumers have to get more involved in what things cost and the cost-benefit analysis that doesn't go on right now. The three-quarter hat that we currently have, where I pay an insurance premium, the insurance company pays the hospital gives me services, and there's no fiscal restraint on my desire to have every test known to man, because I don't know what it costs and I'm not involved. Now, I get really mad at my insurance company because they're raising my rates on my product, on my insurance, health insurance. But there's a disconnect in my head between all these services I'm demanding and the insurance thing. So realigning or getting you and I as consumers more involved in our healthcare decisions as to what they cost and alternatives and choices, I think will help the system go. So do those, get those right, and then let's look at what needs to be done next. It's not like this is the last bite of the apple of healthcare reform. We'll keep at it. But let's don't try to do it all at once. Let's do an incremental, phased approach that does the important things first, and then move beyond that to address other issues. So I voted for that. We actually had a vote on that bill. It lost 178 to 257, I guess. So, but nevertheless, it was something I could be for, and that you could understand what I am for. Now moves to the Senate. The Senate rules provide for minority protections that the rules of the House don't permit. The House rules are much like from a democracy standpoint, two wolves and a sheep voting on what's for lunch. But that doesn't happen in the Senate. The Senate's got filibusters, got some other protections, and so I think we can kill this thing in the Senate, and that's my recommendation. Let's kill this deal. Each step that it makes progress is a step closer to implementation that I don't think is appropriate for our country, so let's try to kill it. If you remember back in June of 2007, the Senate was about to pass an amnesty immigration bill that most Americans said, no, let's don't do that, and communicated that to the Senate, and it died. It went away. We can do, and just trust, just based on my observation of 29 town hall meetings in August and conversations since then, the heat associated with immigration and illegals in this country is hot. Doesn't hold a candle to the heat that's been generated with respect to this healthcare debate. So the motivation is there for the grassroots folks across this country to communicate with their senators what they want to do. Two things that I would ask, if you agree with me, and that is call both of our senators and communicate to them your position. Now, I think they're both good, strong no's, but you need to communicate with them that they need to use every tool they've got to stop this thing. And then, if you've got friends and family who live in other states who are like-minded with you, make sure they've called their senators. Now, I had this same idea from House members, but trying to figure out who lived in which House district and all this kind of stuff, that was too hard. Now, it's going to be a little easier because all of that energy is going to get focused on the 100 members of the Senate. And I think we can collectively communicate to the Senate that this is not the direction we want to go and to kill this deal. So with those brief comments, we can continue to talk about healthcare, obviously, but we can talk about anything that you want to talk about this morning. And again, Tommy, thanks for letting us have the